Tired, calm, satisfied, of course, and this fucking trophy is so difficult to win it. The first time we were so anxious, so the man free was John Stones. We could not find him. But, it's a question of be patient, be patient. I said in half time. The last time we were 1-0 down in Porto. Now 0-0 with just something, and you have to be lucky. So this competition is like that. Doing the same at the end, Ederson, or they miss it, it doesn't matter, they could draw. And maybe Phil scored the second one, and this competition is a coin. And but we were there. I think it was written in the stars. This season it belongs to us, and we did it.
We did it. It was written in the stars.
And all the roads we have to walk are winding, and all the lights that lead us there are blinding. There are many things that I would like to say to you, but don't know how.
Come on, Shady Gang, say you with me.
Because maybe you're gonna be the
Focus. There's gonna be. I know. We're gonna do more of this. I'm just kidding. Let's go, champions! Treble. Let's go, baby. Oh, goodness. We made it, baby. Okay, so Pep, at the beginning of the post-match presser, he took a moment to thank ownership, low-key calling out many people in doing so.
Thing I would like to say is for my sport director, my CEO, I would say my chairman, that normally when you don't get the Champions League after many, you are being sacked. So how many clubs, just for not winning this competition, destroy the projects? And this club, the strong of this club is the non-winning. That everyone say you have to win it, and the winning, they were there to continue to do it. And at the end, sport is like that. So,
how many clubs have destroyed themselves chasing the UCL Dragon? City winning the treble should quiet the dissenting voices, but it hasn't. People are now saying, what took Pep so long? Why City didn't win with authority? Are they really champions of Europe? Don't worry, losers. Complain all you want on social media. We all thought, practically knew Pep was online. Thanks to a dopamine surging through his body, he lowered his defenses and told on himself.
so on Twitter, I follow sometimes some moments.
Okay.
On Twitter, I follow sometimes some moments. It is official. Pep is in these Twitter streets. Better hide your children and your wives and your horrendous football takes.
I hate the most is when you don't want the ball. I hate it. You have permission to make a mistake. You have permission to lose. You have permission.
And that's when we get big.
Yeah, I'm a genius.
Attack everyone and send everyone.
I think we're forgetting the most important thing. We're forgetting about focusing just on ourselves.
But we can do better. We need to take the next step, and there's no better place than taking the next step here.
Show ourselves out there how much we want to win it again.
We win 4 of the last 5 Premier League, guys. 4 of the last 5 Premier League. Are we gonna do it again?
Don't ask me again about doubles, triples, quadruples, fifth-tuples, six-tuples, and seven-tuples. So,
Hey, did like Man City did with the 23-24 home shirts and introduced the new season's intro early. Hey, and welcome to episode 62 of Shades of Blue. We are United States. We are United States' most comprehensive city podcast. Oh my God, we can say it again because we got our homie, he's back home. from the Mississippi. I don't even know what is it anymore. From the Mississippi River to the Pacific. Oh my goodness. My name is Crumb Chocolate. I am with Tom Bomb, Tarek,
Nah,
Charlie.
homie.
What?
We see the shining sea at this point. We
I
East
know.
Coast to
Right.
West Coast.
Oh my
we
gosh.
do it all. We don't got to start at the Mississippi River no more. It's all the way from the
Currently.
East Coast, from the Atlantic to the Pacific. We touching them all.
Oh my goodness. Look at us. Look at us. I am Crumb Chocolate. You just heard Tarek, enlightening me. Just seeing the greatness we have right now in this episode. Tarek, Tom Bomb, Sharpie, and Danielle. He is back from his education slumber. Hello, sir. How are you?
No better time to be back than the post Treble winning episode.
Facts.
So I'm excited to talk about it.
It's good to see you. First things first, rate and review the podcast. 5 stars or what's the point? Follow the pod on social media, Twitch, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. It's all Shades of Blue US, where you can watch live on Twitch. How's it going, Twitch? Subscribe on YouTube by searching Shades of Blue. Check out our Shades of Blue merch store. Check us out on Goals TV. It is a website, Goals, GOZGOLZ.TV. Think YouTube, but specifically only for footy content. It's fantastic. Hop on the Goals train while there's room. That's also in our show notes. In today's episode, if you can't tell, lots of celebration, lots of love, appreciation. Can we just revel in City's accomplishments and then relish our own here at Shades of Blue? Our season finale of sorts, 2 whole seasons for Shades of Blue. Yet, this was our first full season. I want us to luxuriate in what we've been able to do. The best part of the journey is the ride. So let's enjoy ourselves a little. City, they're finished. They finished. Unfinished business. I said that terribly. In winning the Champions League, we will review the match and all the hilarious aftermath that has been the last 4 days. So, Shades of Blue, started as a few guys congregating weekly over the love of Manchester City football. Hell, initially it was a pipe dream of mine. First thought was, how dope would it be to, for a City podcast that represented me? And then for me, the point, wasn't necessarily representation that was fantastic. I just wanted to build a strong foundation with people I knew who would understand me. I live in Davenport, Iowa. Oh, just a little background on me. Davenport, Iowa, there's 100,000 people in this city. And then according to the Census Bureau, 78.7% is white, 10.9% is black. Most places I go to, unless it's my barber or a specific bar or club, especially with the hobbies that I have, the circles look less and less like me. I wanted a place that felt like home, to have comfort expressing myself in my culture the only way that I know how, and not to be judged or misunderstood. I knew if I did the first step right, which was find the co-hosts, I could build a community where everyone felt like family. Shady Gang. Y'all are all different. Shades of Blue. Entendre, wink, wink, pun intended. I fucking love that. In the end, it's all about City women and men's football. That's what we're here to talk about. That's what you're here to listen. If the conversation's about football, it compels you, astounds you, angers you, confuses you, mystifies you, it keeps you coming back. We just want to make you feel strongly, think critically. I believe we have done our job here, and that's what keeps you, Shady Gang, returning every week, has you interacting with our social media accounts. The thing I am seeing a lot of people are saying is just how much fun it looks like we're having, and we do. There's a level of freedom in our pod, because when we look at each other, it's like looking at a brother, a cousin, you're two And I had a joke, but I bailed on it. Our show is special because, it's who we are. It's people of color. We're Americans. And that makes our show a little bit special, or I guess despite, you know, depending on your opinions. You watch, you listen, you support. For that, I love and appreciate all of you guys. Um, just really looking forward to, honestly, this little break off. But I will hop off my stoop real quick to just let my brilliant co-hosts talk.
So, this is gonna say I don't think I've actually said this to anyone, but like the person that DM'd me your tweet, Crunk, is actually a United fan, and I want to shout out. I actually want to shout out Doug. Thank you for doing that because it literally has changed my life. Like, I have met so like I've gotten to know so many great people, but especially like the four other people that you see on the screen, like that that connection means so much to me. It's something that I look forward to every week. I can't say enough about how much fun we really do have doing this. Like it, it's just a really cool, welcoming space, and I think that like it's important for in this space that we use our platform the way that we have. I think that like some of the issues that we have talked about on this podcast that have not necessarily been directly about uh, Manchester City Football Club, but have been tangentially about the game of football or and all of the corruption that can happen with it. Um, the fact that we have been able to use our voice to say those things out loud, that means a lot to me, particularly as a queer black man. Like that's not something that like a lot of people that who are like me that get to say that they have. So like I am just so grateful that this space exists, and I'm so grateful for the people that you see on the screen.
If I can just add something to Tom's beautiful words, I'm wearing a shirt right now that says like organic, and everything about this podcast is organic. Nothing is put on. I can't tell you like other than Crunk's prep, which is immense. Like I don't prep for this pod. I just come on this pod and be myself. Like I watch the game. I might look at some stats during the thing. Maybe have a little Sharpie Charlie moment. But other than that, like we just talking, and it's really just homies across the country who I really hope I get to meet in person in the next season. Like that's something I'm gonna set up a goal to make happen, and pick a big city and link up somewhere. But it's special, and I'm proud of this pod, and it's an honor to be up here. It's cool to watch something grow. Like I don't have kids like Tarek, right? So like seeing this grow as like a little baby, where we started out in 2021 to where we started the season in 2022, which was like, okay, we have like 500 followers. That's dope. So now we got like over 2,000 some followers. That's crazy growth. Like, and just I always think about it. It's like, wow, like people care about what we say. They are entertained by it. They respect it. Um, and it's because of all the wonderful people up here. And I'm really happy that like this beautiful season that Man City had reflected in what we did in our pod, and those things have gone hand in hand. And I think their success breeds our success. Winners win. That's what we do.
Crunk posted something earlier today about he's been prepping for today's episode for like the last week, and I almost responded, and I was like, I don't want to tell him myself. I was like, my prep is like maybe 15 minutes before. Um, so to hear you say that, I feel a little bit better now. I can be transparent and say that I get about 15 minutes. That's why, if you watch on YouTube, you probably see me looking down at my screen because I'm typing. I'm trying to get my notes ready as we're going. But man, this is, you guys have already said it. It's an amazing, amazing thing to be a part of. I remember this time last year. Well, yeah, this time last year, I was at a soccer. I was at State Cup trying to watch the city, see if we were going to win the league, and watch my daughter at the same time. And it's just to see how, like you said, to see how it's grown, to see how it continues to progress. It's an amazing thing to be a part of, and more importantly, how we've continued to be able to connect with the city community, whether that be people here in the United States, which a lot of our listeners are. But then there's a lot of people that are from England and other places that are reaching out and listening and following and hearing. We're hearing, that positive feedback from. So, it's really awesome to be able to connect with people, to have this platform, to be able to connect with people who share that love for city, that love that um, for so long it was just me by myself and trying to rope my brother in or whoever else. And when City came to play Tottenham in Nashville, what, 5-6 years ago, it was just, hey, I'm going because they're here. I'm gonna go. Doesn't matter. Come go with me. Trying to get him to watch or whatever. And so now to have every single week, now even multiple times a week, the ability to connect and just to be able to share. It's an amazing feeling, and like I said, I'm just glad to be a part of it.
I'm gonna chime in really quick too. I know that I've been haven't been as on the show as much this year, and there's like a couple reasons for that. One of them being just the last year of grad school really kicked my ass, and all of the years, before Shades of Blue, before this podcast, like all the years I had been following Man City, I'd been doing it sort of alone. Without, like, I did not have any City fans in my life at all. I mean, barely any that even just watch soccer in general, right? And I'm sure that y'all can relate to that feeling. So I turned to creators. I turned to Twitter accounts, YouTube accounts, like YouTube creators, like folks that were kind of out there. And there's definitely a few that I just really grew to appreciate, but I didn't really have like a real relationship with them. And the other thing, and this isn't to like hate on anybody in particular, but I think it's just the fact that there are a lot of, especially accounts on Twitter, that are just out there for, they're just out there for engagement, and they'll like put out content. They'll send tweets that are just, they're not really, they're not real. They're just kind of there to get people to comment, whether it's real, whether it's positive or negative, whatever. You can just really tell when it's coming from the heart and when it's just coming from a place of like, let me try to monetize this shit. But I feel like that's not at all what this space is about, and I just really appreciate that. And even as I was watching from afar these past few months, I feel like I was still really connected, and I'd still hop on Twitter. And I'd see all your tweets, and I wouldn't feel like I was able to engage with it by like actually commenting. But I want y'all to know that I was still, I was watching for y'all's reactions, and I was listening to the show whenever I could, and just still really getting that sense of camaraderie and community. And also just like feeling good whenever we'd score a goal, I'd hop on and I'd see y'all like reacting, and it just felt like I was still kind of a part of something in that way. And that's just a really nice thing.
Look, I told you in the DM that you're always a part of this. And I mean, whether you believe it or not, whether it's true. So, I mean, you wanted to step away, and I'm always going to give you that time because, everyone needs to live their life. And I'm not a higher education person. So like, I can't even start to grasp what you are experiencing going one of the highest of education. So like, I completely respected that. So just know we do love you, and we really are here for you. And that's why I purposely like reached out to you in stealth and didn't tell them, because I wanted this to be all a surprise, but I wanted that moment for myself too.
Appreciate that. One more thing on this topic.
Yes.
Y'all know how at least my former favorite player was Mr. Cancelo. So my question is, do you think that Pep would come out with the same energy this summer if he sits down and talks to them do you think he would say something like, "You always gonna be part of this," or do you think it's just over completely? Not that the situation is all the same, but I just thought it was funny that
Yeah, I definitely think he's ready to move on.
yeah, all that shit went down and I was kind of gone, you know. And he's my favorite player. I mean, I still like him.
Yeah, he's great.
I can relate to him.
Yeah.
In some ways.
Oh man, yeah. No, I do think he's gone.
He's great.
What do you guys think? Because I mean, he was doing great in Bayern too.
Yeah. So when you were talking, Danielle, I keyed this up right here. Hold on, let me.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Welcome back.
Yeah, man, how you doing? You good? I know you like that.
But then you asked about Cancelo. So now I was like, I can play this for you, but I don't have that same energy for Cancelo. And I don't think Pep will either. I really don't. I think that if Cancelo was hurt, whatever, what's my guy? Not my guy, but Jadon Sancho had to take a break in the middle of the season. And I'm assuming part of it was like mental health or whatever else, right? If it's something like that, I think Pep would have been like, "Yo, come on back." This didn't feel like that was the case. It felt more like Cancelo just didn't accept the fact that he wasn't going to play every match. And that was really just, a challenge of Pep's authority and the way that we at City do it. And it's one of those things where if you can't accept that, you just can't play in this team. And it wasn't anything personal to Cancelo, because we saw the same thing with Walker. We've seen with Laporte, who was playing all last year, and Ake wasn't. Roles are reversed this year. It's no disrespect to either player. It's just, this is what it is. So welcome you back, Danielle, but Cancelo don't get that same love from me.
Danielle,
there he go, hating again.
Hey, I can only do what I do.
Danielle, I am so happy to see you back. It was a very big surprise when when you got hopped on. I was very very surprised. So it's great to see you. I'm glad that you are still felt like connected to the show, and that means a lot. That like we built something like that you still feel connected to, and that's pretty awesome. As far as João Cancelo goes, Tarek, you said that it's nothing personal. I think that the player might have tried to make it personal with the coach, and that is why that is no longer going to work any longer. Like, that's just a wrap. So, if you look at Pep's comments after like the couple weeks that he got commented questions about it after, like just the swiftness with which Joseph Guardiola responded and the tone let me know everything that bridge has burnt.
If I may add very quickly,
no, I coming back.
The problem started when João Cancelo took number 7. Let's just be real, right? I've always had a thing for numbers. These things mean something in football. That's why you know what the numbers mean, right? Like 7's a winger. So you are a defender. Your number should not go above 6. There's like a gap, right, between like 6 and like 11. That's not for you. Everything else, cool. You had 27. It was cute. You could have dropped down to 11 like Zinchenko. But no, Mr. Big Shot, you thought this was Juventus. I'm going to be a 7. That was where he fucked up. Took Raz's number and didn't live up to it. And that's a problem. So I hope we get good value for him. I'm happy he got 2 medals, right? He got 2 what's it called? He got 2 winners medals from the Bundesliga and the Premier League, and I don't know if he played in our UCL thing. Maybe he gets that too. I don't know. I wish him the best. I hope we get at least 40 mil for him because we got some other things we got to do. But But yeah, thank you for your years of service, João Cancelo. I'll try to end it on a mature note.
Most footy shows around, you know, they're going to take some sort of a break. And don't get me wrong, technically, we all will be enjoying ourselves and on a break. Content season is around the corner, starting Saturday with our Represent series. First episode will be with Halan's Anthems, who made the song that we play all the time, Feel Like Holland. Yeah, so they I didn't know what to expect at all with that interview when they like reached out and they're like, hey, and I was like, well, you want to do an interview? And they're like, yeah, I'd love that. And I was like, oh, okay. So pops on the screen, you'll see sunglasses, hood up, thick Norwegian accent. Like, I knew it was going to be gold. They are tied closely to the Halan family, and like the band is all together. And like, he may or may not show how close he is to the family in the episode, but just guests and Represent in general cover the Premier League, La Liga, Bundesliga, and even the MLS. Chatting with most fans of football about themselves, their football fandom, and the clubs they root for. I love the off season. It's offering us the opportunity to build relationships outside of Manchester City, to just talk football instead of Manchester City football. You will love these episodes if you don't. You enjoy our show and just you love football in general. And then once Represent is finished, Tom Baum and Sharpie are back together after doing last year the Women's Euro. They'll be back to be covering the Women's World Cup. Trust Shady Game. It's not goodbye. It's see you later.
And I'm so serious about this. If you're going to follow the Women's World Cup and you do not live like 12 time zones, or you live more than 12 time zones away, change your sleep schedule. Just figure out a way. No, I'm serious. Figure out a way to work and watch the matches and get your sleep. But like, because you're not, it's going to be wonky. But you're going to want to watch all those matches because this is going to be a wild tournament.
Hey. All right, shall we get to the footy? Most important match in the Guardiola era. I would argue it is in the history of City. I don't want to anger any Gramps or Grams out there, though, so I'll keep it modern. But before we do get into things, I thought I'd keep this up, but I did it. Actually, I'll just hit your tag.
Men lie, women lie, numbers don't.
Sharpie, I gotta give you credit, my guy. I gotta give you credit. Normally, I'm the one who, like, I love being on the side of Pep. I love trying to understand his reasoning, getting myself there. But this right here, I don't care what he says, and I don't care that City won. I don't know how I feel. I'm gonna need the off season to ponder.
And it's a day to celebrate it. So the Inter fans, the Manchester City fans, it's a day to be happy, to celebrate being here. So this is the most important to feeling. So it's finished, you know, to what happened in the past is in the past. UEFA is a Champions League and UEFA is an incredible competition. So they try to organize the best competition as possible. We are here to support conditionally what UEFA is doing in this tournament. Of course, we are not going to boo anymore. And we are going to support the game and try to have fun.
Taking away all our fun. Booing's fun.
See, it's one thing when you boo and you haven't won it, then opposing fans can say, "Oh, well, they're petty, they're jealous, they're whatever." See, when you boo after you've already won it, you're the champions of this competition, and you still boo, then you realize it's just, you know, it's about principle. It's not even about anything but principle. And so, Pep, you know, we just gotta understand, you know, we boo off principle.
We are who we are.
See,
like,
Pep,
don't try to change us, Pep.
This
Love
the thing,
us.
right? Y'all know where Pep grew up. Pep grew up in Barcelona, right? He's used to winning. He's not used to trying to be like, in a way, Barca was kind of like Real Madrid's, you know, noisy neighbors, right? Like, not the same city, but, you know, the only two teams that really matter in La Liga. And, Real Madrid has the history on their side. They've won more Champions Leagues. But when you come along and you start winning them, you can't mind yourself with things that aren't attuned to what the goal is. So people, I'm thinking this. We got Premier Leagues under the bag. Pep's won 5 out of 6. Cool. If we win it next year, 4 in a row, first time ever, great. But if we win a second CL in the Premier League era, that ties us with Man U and Chelsea, and it puts us ahead of Liverpool, or tied with Liverpool too, because they won 2 in the Premier League era. So if you think about generations, like you said earlier, Crunk, we can boo it, but we really want to win that. Because if you think about banter and all the stuff you see on Twitter, as Danielle was talking about, that's going to be a huge flag in our cap if we get that second one. It may not be next year. That's super hard to do, but I love this song, and I want to hear it so much. I want to hear it all the way into the end of May every single year.
So I actually asked that question on Twitter. How long do we think it will be before we get our second? And I think I pointed out that with the exception of Real and Barca, it's usually about 9 to 10 years in between, on average, a team that wins it before they win it again. AC Milan won in a space, but then they haven't won it for ages at this point. So I was interested to see what people's thoughts were. It was about 100. There's a little bit over 100 people that responded or clicked the poll. 77% think that we will win it again within the next 2 years. 22 on top of that say within 3 to 5. So 99% of the people that responded, of course, which most of I'm sure are City fans, if not all, think we will win it within the next 5 years. We'll win it again.
Yeah, I think we just have a window.
Yeah,
I think we just have a window we got to win.
Yeah, I think getting that monkey off our back was the biggest thing. Because even, and I think I said this when we were celebrating immediately after, yes, the game wasn't a classic from the standpoint of how we, the way we play on the pitch. But I don't think it was because, one, there's another team, Inter, that was making us work really hard. But two, I think there was a sense of the nerves, a sense of the weight of the moment weighing on the players, weighing on the players. And so I think now that we've got that and it shuts all the conversation down, now they can just go be free. And I think after you saw that even in the Real Madrid game, whereas last year when we played them, we saw what happened. We buckled in that moment. This year we were like, nope, we've been here, done that. We're not going down again. And so I think that there's a strong possibility, if not next year, maybe the year after, that we run it back.
Well, I have 3 clips from post-match interviews. One where Pep talks patience, one where Ruben Diaz talks character, and KDB talks chemistry.
And you have to be patient. The most important thing in this type of games is thinking that we are 0-0, thinking that we are losing. And we are not losing, it's 0-0. And the Italian teams with 0-0, they are thinking we are winning. And they are not winning, it's 0-0. And that's why you have to be stable here and get rhythm, but at the same time be stable.
I don't know, I would say since February, March, when the decisions come up, it's the sweet spot. And you can see the character of a team when you arrive to these stages. And you can see how much a team wants to move forward, or if your team just starts hiding. And I guess that especially since that moment, we've seen our team showing up every time. And tomorrow will be no different. It's another game. It's another time for all of us to step up to the occasion, and all of us want to be there and want to do it. So we'll be there.
You talked a lot about your chemistry with Erling, but was it love at first sight when you met in the summer?
No. I'm happy with my wife. Yeah.
Honestly, the way KDB said no, like, it would not surprise me if Halan came up in there, and KDB was just like, okay, he is like this in person. Go hang out with Grealish. I will just pass you the ball. Let's slowly build our friendship. Oh, starting lineup. Ederson, Ake, Diaz, Akanji, Stones, Rodri, KDB, Gundo, Grealish, Bernardo, and Halan up top. Okay, let's hop in the way back machine. Champions League Final 2020, Bayern 1, PSG 0. 2021, Chelsea 1, Man City 0. 2022, Real Madrid 1, Liverpool 0. Battle of will. Who will blink first? Leading up to the match, you saw City's 11, you saw Inter's 11. How were you feeling about the match? What matchup or player were you keeping an eye on in the first 10 minutes? Danielle, let's start with you, baby.
Honestly, I had zero doubts about the lineup. I mean, the only slight surprise was Walker dropping out, but I think that we are so far gone from having any doubts about Pep's decisions, especially this season, the way the season unfolded. I think it's been a very long time. It's probably been about 3 months since I've really been like, ooh, I'm not sure about this, because I just think time and again, I mean, the past 6 years, he's proved us all wrong. Like, he's earned it, but especially the last 3 months, everything happens for a reason. Right. I mean, and y'all know, especially early in the season, I was like, ooh, Grealish and Mahrez, like, I'm starting to have like some doubts about that. It's like, it's not the same. It's not as fluid. Oh, what's going on with the fullbacks? Like, why are we playing with center backs? Like, this is weird. We're playing slowly. It's transition season, whatever. Like, no, all those doubts are erased. Call it arrogance, call it naivety, whatever. But I just had no doubts at all. I mean, I was nervous before the game, but it was more nervous. The nerves were coming from like, wow, I can't believe we're about to win the Champions League final and complete a treble. I was more nervous before the FA Cup. Like, that's where I was like, okay, maybe I'm a little bit concerned about this. Like, if we lose, that it's gonna be like really annoying. But with history, I think the fact that like there's the treble on the line, that was what made me feel like, wow, we're gonna do this. Like, there's no way they're gonna drop this. And even during the game, I was like, even at 0-0, I was like, no, there's just no way. Like, we're gonna win somehow. And then it just happened. It just felt inevitable.
I think for me, I think I said it in our pre-match show. The biggest matchup for me was making sure that Grealish occupied Dumfries, and I was like just curious what that was going to play out in the first 10 minutes, and it didn't play out the way that I wanted to, and I forgot my own advice, which was if the score is tied at halftime, don't freak out, City fans, because that's probably going to be the case. But I did it within the first 15 minutes, did start to freak out a bit, just because of Dumfries' positioning.
Yeah, lineup wise, I think again I said this, but this was exactly what I would have expected. The only question again being Akanji Akanji or Walker or Ake, two of those three, right? If we're gonna bring Ake back, and then if we do we bring Akanji over to the right side, or do we stay with Walker? But this was exactly what I expected. I thought Ake would come back in. He did. So, like you said, Danielle, I think Pep has, he puts all these combinations together. He's searching for that elusive best 11, or at least the best 11 lineup that these 11 work really well together. And there's been changes to that throughout the course of the season. But like you said, this last 3 months or so, this has been the lineup that he's run out there. This is the way that we've played with Stones in the middle, in that holding role, dual pivot. So this was exactly what I expected, and I was glad to see it. But I also knew if it didn't go well, then people would say Pep overthought it. He should have stuck with Walker. And so from that standpoint, I was like, I really hope this doesn't go badly, because I think this is the right decision personally. And I didn't feel like Pep would have been deserving of any blame had it gone wrong, but I think he would have gotten it nonetheless. What about you, Charlie?
I'm going to try to say something different because you three gentlemen have said such beautiful words. I instantly flashed back to the lineup that, remembering that this was the lineup we played against Bayern Munich when we abused them at the Etihad, and when we, had the draw on the road to seal it, to make it to the semifinal. So once I had that calm, I was like, okay, like this team is like, we know how to keep a clean sheet. And I think that's the most important thing, right? Can you defend it? Because we're going to score a goal a game. I can't remember the last time we were goalless. It's really hard to keep us off the score sheet. So as long as we could keep that clean sheet, I had confidence. Now, the only critique I would have had, and I know why he didn't do it, this was a matchup for Riyad Mahrez to start. With the team sitting that deep, being that defensive, letting Riyad ISO on a center back, or even DeMarco, right? Like he would have had his way. So that was the only thing. But of course, you don't go against the team that got you there. And I'm with Danielle. Like he proved to us that this is the right lineup.
Yeah. Inter start with the ball in control possession for the first 2.5 minutes until an errant pass ends up at the foot of Rodri. Halan receives the ball on a run with only the keeper to beat as he skies the ball. Offsides is called. A moment later, Bernardo, he's in Inter's penalty, running at DeMarco, narrowly missing with his own shot at goal. 10 minutes into the match, and I start to get impatient. My buddy Eddie must have been feeling the same, considering he forced a pass to Ake that went out of bounds. Long throw by Inter made things stressful for a second, but when Inter would try to attack, Dzeko and Lautaro they didn't seem up to it. Dumfries and DeMarco in the first half at least would get the ball up the field, but really just having maybe one player to cross the ball to. A bunch of petty fouls and bad passes on both sides really kept both teams from building continuity. 20 minutes into the match, both teams have made proper adjustments. What was Inter doing that seemed to stunt City's attack? Maybe it wasn't Inter. Was there a City player shrinking at the weight of the moment? What do you think, Tarek?
That's, I mean, I think I won't say, for me, common knowledge or the expectation was that they being Inter, they were going to try to muddy it up, make it physical, make it an ugly game. That, I think, they probably would feel like that plays into their hands. So there was some of that. Ultimately, I don't think I could point to any one player on our side to say, oh, they weren't up for it. I just think that as a collective group, we the nerves were evident, in my opinion. You talked about Ederson playing the ball out. It was I think this was early in the match. He played the ball out to touch. It was just like, I don't even know how the ball went over there. It was just like, how did that ball go out that side? But he wasn't the only one, right? There were players on, quite honestly, both sides. Their keeper Onana was kicking the ball out of bounds as well. So I don't know, man. I can't point to any one thing. I just think that collectively people weren't trying to lose, and so it's like, just make the other team work hard, and we'll see. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I thought that both teams looked really nervy in like the first 20, 25 minutes. Just bundle of nerves. Like you said, like people making mistakes that they normally did not make. And I think that, and I think part of that mistake making for City anyway was that I think that we just had to adjust to the way that they were playing because I don't think that they were expecting Dumfries to push up that high, but he did, and I think that they um, needed to find a way to counteract that because they were when they were in possession, it was mostly like in the first 20 25 minutes, it was mostly like him carrying the ball up the pitch for them. Um, so I think that we had to adjust that relationship between Grealish, Ake, and Gundo to like make sure who was going to cover what ground to make sure that Dumfries just wasn't running free. Um, but I think that just took some time, and it didn't help by I'm sure what Crunk is going to about to get into next.
One thing I noticed right away was that we switched from our normal like 3-2 build up to where it was like really like a 3-4-3, where we had like a diamond midfield. So you had John Stones higher up the pitch on the right side, and therefore it was harder. It's one less option to break their press because Dzeko and Martinez are really good defenders. They put in Brozovic again to go with Kalanoglu. Sorry if I mispronounced that, the Turkish player, and Barella. So like they had the numbers. It was almost like even. And so I think Tom just said like we just had to figure it out. And my whole thing was like if we make it to halftime 0-0, Pep will be able to tell the players what he saw to make the adjustments. So it was just those growing pains in a one-off match. That's the special part about a final, as we saw with Man U, right? Like it's just really tight, and Inter's a really good team. They know how to play cup football.
I'm with you, Charlie. My thought was if we get to halftime and it's still 0-0, I'm willing to bet on Pep to make the adjustments. I don't know the other coach, Inzaghi. I don't know him, so I don't know how well he does it at making adjustments in game. But I've seen Pep, come out and make the adjustments that then free us up to go get the goals that we maybe should have gotten the first half but didn't. So I was confident if we keep it 0-0, he'll get us right at half.
I don't think I've heard anyone mention this, and I hate to bring it up because I normally just think it's stupid whenever people like blame like the like outside conditions and stuff. But I think what added to the nerves was the pitch looked really like slick, I think, and that as somebody who's I've been playing a lot of soccer recently, I think that when you're already nervous and your playing surface is different from what you're used to, and maybe the first couple of times you try a move, you turn, you slip, or the ball kind of like flies a little bit faster than you're expecting. That just adds on to your nerves, right? Because you feel like you can't trust yourself, you can't trust like your movements. So I think that was a big factor, especially early on. They needed to adjust to the conditions, and I think that's true on both sides. But the other side of it was that I think that they were just really restricting the spaces in the midfield pretty well. And especially Rodri, I think he really struggled throughout the game. Like obviously he got the winner, so he's immortalized in that sense. But I think just in terms of overall play, like he would probably say, I think he did say it himself actually in his one of his post match interviews that he played like shit the entire game, and I think that was pretty accurate. And they just look tired. I mean, in the FA Cup final, Rodri was like, there was one moment, I don't know if y'all remember, where he was like, I think he lost the ball in the transition, and he was like, his body language, I thought he was hurt or something, but
just kind of
his body
running.
language was just terrible, and he was like, kind of, yeah, exactly, he just stopped running, and I think he's just exhausted, and that's a culmination of a long season playing almost all the games possible. And also, not to hate on anybody, but it's just the fact that his backup, who's supposed to be his backup, Calvin Phillips, just didn't really step up this season. So I think Rodri especially really suffered for that. And as y'all know, if Rodri's not playing well, our whole team isn't playing well. So I think that was a big reason for the dysfunction in the first half.
So I heard this on another pod, and I can't give credit to who it was, but I do want to say it wasn't my original thought.
Okay. Stop giving credit to other pods, because why would they listen to us then if you're just gonna just say you thought of it or something? They don't need to know this stuff. Like, stop doing
This
this.
thing, I
What are you
didn't
doing?
tag it. I mean, we all listen to
Well, but
studies.
right now, I'm just saying right now,
Yeah.
you're telling the people listening, like, I'm going to cut that out anyway.
Okay.
I'm just saying for future reference, stop giving other people credit.
Yes, sir, Captain Wrestling. I will say that the pitch was smaller. If you compare it to City's pitch or to Wembley's pitch, people will say, commentators, oh, Wembley has a very big pitch. That benefits us because there's more space for you to defend when we keep those wingers high and wide. If you notice, there wasn't those big gaps that Grealish normally has. There wasn't the big gaps that Bernardo has to go one-on-one. And I tried to find it online, but I didn't do a good job researching it, but I know it's smaller than like a Wembley. And I wish that football was like football or basketball or hockey, where everything's the same size, or baseball. Like, it's a weird thing that like such an important sport has different dimensions and that it's allowed. Like, that's crazy, but they do what they want. But yeah, that definitely had an impact.
Makes every game unique.
Yeah, that's stupid. Like, we don't watch basketball and be like, man,
I agree.
Lakers got a big court today. They about to go crazy. It's like, no, like it's annoying. I know what you're saying, sir. It's just stupid. I hate it.
No, you're right though. I agree with you. I was just being funny. But like, to your point, when we play Fulham has a really tight pitch. So yeah. And I didn't really notice that right away, but it makes more sense now, because there were a lot of times when we tried to play that diagonal ball cross field and it kept getting intercepted. And that's why I was making the comment, like, we made DeMarco look like he was all world. I'm like, what is going on? Why are we not getting that ball out there? He's cutting all of them out, and maybe we just weren't able to get as wide as we would like to be. And so he was able to close that space a little bit better. So
yeah,
that's a good point that I hadn't thought of.
I didn't either. And
yeah, that is a really good point. It's like, and Terry, too, you were talking about Craven Cottage. The dimensions at Craven Cottage are smaller than when NYCFC plays at either Citi Field or at Yankee Stadium.
And that's just crazy. That's insane, because people like ridicule NYCFC for how small their pitch is. And to their credit, they use it as an advantage, like in the playoffs and stuff like that. But yeah, it's insane that it's that tight.
Love this. So not to get back on Ederson, but give him all the love at the end, and everybody already knows how I love him. So I can, be on him, because he was out of the match for a while. So like, in Fernandinho's City Plus doc about his last season, he has like a dinner with Kaiki and Ederson and Gabby Jesus. And there's a moment where Ederson, he just talks about how when he's not in the match, he's not participating, he just gets sleepy. Like, the energy is just sapped out of him. And then that's what like leads to his bad decisions. And he hadn't been at it in the match for a while. And he made it spicy when he tried to make a pass to, I think it was Diaz, who wasn't able to get a leg on it. And Barella took a go at goal. And luckily, he was just like, who was Brighton? Danny? Who was it? Sturridge, who tried to do that really long shot that just missed. Thank goodness. The City ran the ball right back with a chance of their own, where all Haaland had to do was beat Onana, and he kicked it right at him. But the play seemed to open up for City. KDB took a shot himself outside of the box that deflected to the keeper. Grealish, running back, immediately tried to thread a needle with the cross. That again was secured by Onana. Frustration again, just creeping closer to me when Dredd decides to spear me into oblivion, when KDB goes down and stays on the floor. Oh, Kevin! He pulls himself up, but every time he touches the ball, you just watch. I'm watching him run around, and you just know it's not good. And even there were moments in the match where, before all of that happened, I was like, "What's going on?" And even in his post-match interview, he said for the first 30 minutes he felt good, but he didn't really. He looked okay, but he didn't look like the man we were used to seeing. And he plays for about 5 more minutes, and then the final straw is a cross that he attempted. I assume he was trying to do like a low cross like he always does, and he just shot it way across the pitch. Uh, but here comes a full fit and firing Phil Foden. Comes in and he plays. Uh, Enter. They brought that heat pressuring City to play backwards. I mean, I assume they sensed a weakness after an untimely KDB departure. Johnny Stones with the bad man moves, playing out of a bad situation, relaying the ball back to Ederson, who boots the ball. Dumfries takes Grealish down later in the half. Uh, let's see, there's one of the better chances from City in the last 20 minutes of that first half. Um, Dumfries pulls Jack down face first with a handful of jersey. The set piece is dreadful from that though, and Rodri basically kicks it off the defender, off of him, and it goes out of bounds. First half is finished. Where was your head at in the match? What were you hoping to see in the second half? Sharpie, let's start with you.
Well, I'll say you kind of skimmed over the KDB. We'll give Charlie a chance to get back on, but you kind of skimmed over the KDB going down and getting. I mean, you touched on it, but to me, that was when I had that sense of dread because I've seen this. I've watched this movie before, and I did not like the outcome. I saw what Rudiger did, and I was like, so when I saw him go down, it's like your heart drops to your stomach. You're like, oh, is this really going to happen to us again? It's almost like how, to use a word, how cursed could we be, right? For this to happen again. And yes, so then I was able to think about, okay, if they take him out, I thought maybe we would bring in, move, move, move Bernardo middle and bring in Mahrez. That's what I was thinking was going to happen. But instead he brought in Phil and just played Phil through the middle, which I was like, oh, okay, I'll take that too. But in that moment, seeing him go off the pitch, I was like, this just cannot happen again. So I don't know if anybody else, how people felt, but I think in that moment, whatever confidence I had coming into the match and then seeing how it was playing out, when I saw him go off, my confidence levels fell quite a bit for a while. It took me a minute to get my confidence back.
I had to get some more medicine at that moment and make that a thing, like, because I was down bad, down really really bad. Like I've yeah, I was just down bad. I did not think that, like, I thought that this was the moment. It was like, okay, like, someone recently asked me, like, who is Manchester City's best player, and I flat out told him it was Kevin De Bruyne. That is how I feel. He is, like, probably my favorite player on the team to watch. And to not see him on the pitch and knowing how important he is to the team, I was devastated. I was I think at that point I was trying to, like, emotionally steel myself for what happened if this team lost this match. That's probably where I was.
I think I got my drink on. I have it for beers.
What about you, Dania? How are you feeling?
I mean, I was just devastated for KDB, man. Like, it's just, and I'm still am. Like, it's just so unfair that two of the biggest matches of his career, he's had to come off injured through no fault of his own, and he was especially the circumstances of like this year, you know, back in 21, it was just kind of like easy to villainize Rudiger, and it was just kind of a freak thing that happened. But this year, he really he put his body on the line the last 2 months playing with a partially torn hamstring and then fully rupturing it this match. It's just sad. It's unfair, and it just sucks that it happened like half an hour into the final game, right? Like it couldn't have lasted just a little bit longer. So that really sucked. I think that took. I think once he went off injured, I think it was like minute 37 or something like that. But really, it was kind of before when he was still kind of testing it out. I sort of knew that okay, we're not gonna. We just need to hold out. We just need to not concede until halftime, because the wind's been knocked out of our sails. You know, our talisman is gone, and the team just needs that time, halftime, to just kind of regroup. So I wasn't. I was. I think the way the first half unfolded kind of made sense, you know, for all the things that we talked about, the nerves, the quality of the pitch, the fact that Inter were playing higher up the pitch and closing down the midfield more than they expected. Like it all kind of made sense. And then KDB went off injured, so I wasn't too bothered by how the first half had gone, but I was still obviously very nervous for the second half, and I kind of got the sense that like the Pep wasn't gonna change anything, especially not coming right out of like the first half. Who's to say what he would have done maybe in the 70 or 75th minute if it was still 0-0. But I had a sense that he had full confidence in this team. And I mean, credit to him, it wasn't pretty. I think the final balls, well, I guess we'll get into the second half later, but yeah, I knew that it wasn't like totally devastating, bar a couple of like hardened mouth moments. With like Ederson was kind of sketching me out a little bit in the first half. So yeah, I was thinking halftime, all right, we're gonna regroup. I think we'll generally play at least at the same level or a bit better. So this is gonna come down to individual moments, either of moments of brilliance or moments of complete catastrophe. So we'll just see what happens, and either way, it's going to be an entertaining second half.
I want to just highlight, and you called it out, Danielle, about effectively the sacrifice that KDB had been making over the last couple months by playing on a, I'll say torn or partially torn or whatever you want to say, hamstring. But he kept going out there. There were times when we would look and we would say, oh, he looks really tired. He looks really, something's going on, whatever. We didn't know. But he was still each week going out, finding a reason, finding a way to put his all into it and sacrificing his own body. And I say we had Laporte who did that for us last year when he hurt his knee. Ended up having to have surgery after the season. But there's something about this club that, these players are willing literally to put their bodies on the line to try to help us achieve these goals. Last year, it was just, hey, we need every single win to get this PL to keep it away from Liverpool. And helped us do that. This year it was, hey, we're trying to win on all fronts. We need you to help us get there. You're our biggest, most creative force. But then when you look at the way his season went and you see, okay, well, some of the assists dropped off or whatever. Well, it makes more sense now that you know some of this stuff. But I just want to contrast the way that people talked about City early when I first started watching and first started becoming a City supporter, and how to them all of our players were just nothing more than mercenaries. It was all simply about the money. They're only there because of the money. You don't have any history, yada yada, boom boom. But these players literally putting their health and their well-being on the line. And there are, unfortunately, effects to that. To me, in my opinion, Laporte still hasn't gotten back to his normal self. What is it going to take for KDB to get back to his normal self? They made that sacrifice in the moment, but we don't know what it's going to look like next year for KDB, or we had no clue what it was going to look like for Laporte this season. But thankfully, we were able to pull it off. But, when it's a testament to the players that we have and the love that they have for City and for the badge, and for the team. So, yeah.
Well said. Second half begins. Not much really happens until the 50th minute when Gundo gets taken down and kind of stays down for a moment. He pops back up, but then the next 2-3 minutes is basically a game I called foul each other without getting a call for it. Like, it was just knocking each other around, the ref just letting the boys play. The two sides take turns owning possession, having half chances. Then Edin Dzeko comes off for Romelu Lukaku. We are now about to find out if Megan Thee Stallion inspired our disenchanted Lukaku. Honestly, he looked mad inspired. Akanji, who has been ace most of the season, had a couple of brain farts. Man took a huge bite of the silly steak. Bernardo.
Okay, but the Bernardo one wasn't on him. That was on both Bernardo A and Ederson B, because Bernardo, that pass was not a great back pass. That was a very terrible back pass, A. And B, you would think that your keeper would be like, you would want him engaged in the match. And I think that this was actually the moment that it clicked on for Ederson in the match. By him not coming and basically allowing Lautaro Martinez to have that chance and him having to make that save, that made him aware enough that he was awake, that he was in the match for the rest of the match.
Yeah.
Akanji made a couple of bad moves in the second half, but I'm not going to blame that one on Akanji.
Yeah, not fully. I feel like it was a lot of people. You could tell that was a moment of they were all assuming each other got it. Like, Bernardo assumed Akanji would get it if Ederson couldn't get it. Akanji was like, Ederson will get it. And Ederson saw it and was like, Akanji will get it. And then I was not very happy with that. But good on him for stopping it. And the crazy thing is, Lukaku was crashing in. And good on Lautaro for choosing glory, because we saw what happened. City took the ball and went back right on their own, and Foden gets fouled by Barella, who gets a yellow card for his troubles. It's now 60 minutes into the match, and play is starting to open up. But I couldn't tell who it was really benefiting, because it was like every single time City would try to play into the open field, the pass would be terrible, and then enter. They couldn't really break City down. Sharpie, didn't get on you. How did you feel about KDB going down? And then when Phil came in, what were you seeing from him?
KDB was sad. Like, it's something that's literally not his fault. And when you heard afterwards how long he's been dealing with it, that's what Pep was talking about. He was like, yeah, these players are at home, like, getting treatment and stuff. And it all makes sense. It's just unfortunate. And I think when Phil came on, he was Phil. Like, he was fit, fire, and Phil. Like, he was out here. The turns are beautiful. Like, he is a midfielder. You could tell, like, that's his natural position. What he does in those tight spaces and the chaos he creates, and, just the pressure he puts on the defense, and the defenders and the midfielders is amazing. But I will say about the second half, it felt like something was coming. I just didn't know if it was going to need Alvarez or Mahrez to be the one to do it. I didn't know if the people on the pitch were going to get it done. And I also didn't think Pep was going to try to play for 120, right? Like, we have the people, if we get 0-0 in the 75th, it's time to go for it. Like, we're not going to do it. So I just felt like something was going to happen because we had started to figure them out more. But like you said, I didn't know who the goal scorer was going to be.
Yeah, and I don't know. You were happy with Phil, but I, oddly enough, wasn't. I mean, he wasn't doing anything terrible. Well, what I will say is, I wasn't seeing like the dog in him. Like I was seeing Philip Foden playing football when I really needed to see Walter out on that pitch. City earned a corner that was called off due to a foul by Stones. Leading up to that set piece, Inter players were all over Stones, Kanji, any players that were in that box. Sharpie, you mentioned Inter's lack of size compared to City. Bastoni and his company of pals made things ugly before the ball was kicked. A little Italian dark arts. 67 minutes into the match, City have the ball. They're moving left. They're moving right, taking their time chipping away at Inter's defense. Ake chips the ball to Foden, who has the ball down to Gundo, who has to battle Brozovic for possession, barely keeping the ball in. Gundo gives the ball back to Foden, who has to dribble it all the way back and give it off to Kanji. Kanji pauses, but then fearlessly drives up the pitch and makes Inter. Basically, they pissed themselves. It was the only moment I guess they seemed shocked in the whole match, which I mean I guess assumes why City scored. But him stepping up, he drove off the pitch. Multiple defenders closed in at Kanji. They forgot where they were. Bernardo, all this open space. Kanji finds him. Bernardo tries to cut the ball in. It bounces off of an Inter player. And while Bernardo, Gundo, Akanji, and Halan are all screaming, gesturing for a handball, the ball lands in the middle of the box, waiting, pleading, screaming for anyone, to either score or clear the ball away. Thank goodness we had Rodri flying in from outside the shot, bends the ball around two defenders. City 1, Inter 0. Now the fun happens. Let's start with the reactions. When the goal happens, where were you? What did you do? How did the people around you react if they weren't footballing people? Sharpie, we'll go right back to you, and then Danielle, Tom, Tarek.
So I was at one of the 4 spots that New York Sky Blues had organized. Shouts to them. It was probably probably in the 4th level of spots because it was definitely small and only had 2 TVs, but there were so many fans in the city that you needed a 4th bar. Like if you didn't have that 4th bar, you just would have had people in little pubs probably watching somewhere randomly. So once the goal went in, I sat beside strangers, of course, but they were all excited and we jumped, we hugged, we high-fived. I don't know these people. I'll never see them again in my life. But it was a joyous occasion. And I think we felt like the relief of like, okay, we're going to win this. Like, that was the energy in the crowd. People started chanting and cheering, and it was like, okay, the win is coming. So that was a beautiful moment.
I mean, I know I was saying that I was really confident leading up into the game, and like at halftime, I was still like, yeah, we got this. It's fine. But man, I think that there was still a couple of heart and mouth moments, and especially like seeing Rodri still kind of continue to struggle a little bit in the second half was really unnerving for me because he's normally like such a sure-handed player in our system that just to see him kind of even like when he's like a little bit off, I think that just really highlighted to me just how much like we kind of take him for granted, because he's normally just like the safety valve, right? Like he takes it and it's like effortless. He shows no nerves whatsoever. He'll recycle the ball. He'll play it progressively. So to have him be even just like a little bit shaky was a little scary, leading up to obviously his like wonder goal.
My sister left the house. She said, I can't deal with you today. So it was just me and the dog. And somehow the dog had managed a way to fall asleep. I don't know how she figured that out, but as soon as it hit the back of the net. I jumped up off the couch, just screamed yes in the most guttural tone I think I've ever uttered in my life. Um, I think I was so loud that the neighbor's dog across the street started barking because they heard me. Um, and like I later get a text from my neighbors like, "Hey, are you good?" And it's like, "Yes, my soccer team is winning and it's great. I'm feeling fantastic." So yeah, that was my reaction when the ball went in the back of the net.
It's pretty cool to have neighbors that'll check on you when it's something when they hear a loud scream, and then your response is, "Oh no, my team just scored. Don't worry." But yeah, you talked about Phil. He came on in the middle of a match that was already going. It takes him a minute to get up to speed, right? So I don't think in the rest of the first half, what was it for him? It was 10 minutes or so. I don't think he gave much there, but he's still just trying to find his rhythm. I think he grew into the game. I think the later that went, the more you saw the field that we know, and the field that playing through the middle that gives us some excitement about what could be in the future to come. So that was my thought on Phil. But he's the one that plays that ball to Akanji, who, like you said, takes that space. It's a great ball, that through ball that he plays to Bernardo. That's the type of ball that we see KDB making. Um, Again, not saying that Akanji is KDB, but that pass was KDB esque. And I I was confused how the ball. I knew he was trying to play. I didn't think he was trying to shoot it. I thought he was trying to play it, but I didn't know how the ball ended up in that space that Rodri found it in. But his ability to bend it better than Beckham around the defender was amazing. And so uh, I think I said this after the match. I'm sitting there down here on the couch watching on the big screen, and my oldest is down here watching with me, my soccer player. And every time I'm yelling or screaming, I can see her. She's on her phone because, of course, kids nowadays are always on their phone. Uh, and then I kind of look and she's kind of got it turned. I was like, "Stop! You're not going to be recording me uh, squealing and screaming, all high pitched and sounding all crazy. I need to be. I need my freedom to be able to express my and to celebrate free." And so I kind of mess with her a little bit, but I'm just super excited, man. Because again, we all knew two things. One, we wanted to get that first goal, and now, not that Inter just sat back in a back, 8 or whatever, they did come out a little bit, but they had to come out more, which in my thought was, okay, this will open it up even more for us. Getting the first is just going to lead to, I thought maybe we'd get one more. So of course, we're all excited when the goal scored, but yeah, I felt really good at that point.
I just wanted to add
On the emotional roller coaster. No, on the emotional roller coaster when when KDB goes off, I'm at my low. But when that goal goes in, I'm at the top of that roller coaster at that point. So
yeah, and I just wanted to throw on the top of this that that was the first Champions League final goal that any City supporter had ever seen City score. And that's pretty special when you think about it, because they always talk about the people that were at Main Road and yada yada yada, and are you a plastic and yada yada. Look, all of us saw the first time something happened for the first time, and so no matter how long you've been associated with the club and supported them, and how many kits you have, and what your scarf collection looks like, we could all just go crazy off that moment, because you literally say, okay, we are now winning a Champions League final match. We are in control after being 0-0 for so long. So it was that's a euphoric moment, man. Like, there's going to be hard to duplicate that, because we've seen it in the Premier League, right? We've seen the comebacks, we've seen the Rockets, the companies, and all that, the Gundos. So to do it in a CL final, like, Rodri's immortalized. Like, there's nothing that could touch him anymore now, which is pretty special.
I had a similar thought when the game ended, because I was like, I was there in Green Bay when Holland scores his very first goal for the club, period. Wasn't an official match or anything like that. But he scored that very first goal in a friendly. And I got to see it. And then I got to watch throughout the course of the season as he scores 52 of these things. And then in that moment, I watched, like you said, I watched us score a goal that would end up being the winner for a Champions League trophy. It was like, this has been an amazing, amazing season to be a part of and to watch. But it's just a great club to, you know, be a supporter of.
As far as Rodri being a legend, I think I said this on the post-match show. The washing machine has defeated the Balotelli, and I'm very sad about it. But I did say that whoever scored the match winner in this match, I would buy their kit. So I have and I was really thinking that like KDB's gonna score or Holland's gonna score, but it was Rodri, and I'm still very, very okay with that because I was thinking about getting the UE kit anyway. So then I'll have two matching defensive holding midfielder kits. So
join the club. Let's go,
yeah,
Rodri gang.
Yeah, yeah. So that's gonna be my next kit purchase from the club.
Okay. So, what last bits of the match shall we talk about? Lukaku having the worst luck, Ederson's clutch stops, Inter having a better XG and technically won the possession battle in the second half. Foden's delectable spin followed by his detestable shot. Stones getting his shirt ripped open and nothing came from it. Where to start? What to talk about? Daniel, I'm just going to keep coming back to you. I'm just going to keep feeding you the ball.
My bad. I was trying to figure out how to stop this autoplay thing on Twitter. Wow. It's actually, I think maybe the player that I feel more sorry for, and I hate to give him any sort of pity because I think that's just kind of an ugly emotion. But I feel worse about for Lukaku than I do for KDB. At least KDB has a Champions League trophy, But for Lukaku, it's he's already been sort of a little bit of a joke throughout his career, and I think undeserved. I actually kind of rate Lukaku, and for a while, I wouldn't have hated to see him at City pre-Holland, obviously, because I think there's a good player in there, but it's just so unfortunate, blocking that header. It wasn't his fault. He was just there, and also I felt like Inter were a lot more dangerous when he came on. Because he was actually, call it luck or whatever, coincidence, but he was in the positions to get on the end of these balls, and it just didn't end up working out for him. But there was definitely a universe out there where he scored the winner, and it just didn't fall that way for him. And obviously, that's to our joy. But you have to feel for a guy who's just gotten a lot of hate for obvious reasons throughout his career. So I really don't want to just pile on how much he's been clowned on, but that just really stuck out to me is soccer, football, the universe has a way of just being, it's just a sick joke sometimes. So I think it's kind of sick that the football gods have been picking on this man for as long as they have been. I mean, he scored that I think he score that own goal in the last final that he played in the FA Cup or Europa League, something like that. He had some unfortunate thing happen to him. So that sucked, but also thank God that that he is as unlucky as he is, because like I said, he was just kind of on the end of a lot of things, and that was really scary. So I'm glad that it didn't work out in that way, because I don't think my heart could have handled extra time. Definitely not.
Daniel, you are a better person than me because I definitely have a Lukaku joke in the chamber right now, and that is that Meg needs to leave him. Like, if she has not already, she needs to leave. Like,
I'm looking at you like a peasant because you are a girl. You know, you really jumped out the window when you compared yourself to me.
I'm saying, I'm just also I like a deep, deep place of love in my heart for that Joanne the Scammer clip that really, really set me. But yeah, she's got to leave him. Although, and that's not necessarily losing because he was with her, so that's already a win. Like, right? Like, so that's not losing. I thought, to me, the officiating was egregious, particularly in the second half. And I think that the what you John Stones getting his kit ripped while not there not being any sort of call was like the culmination of that. Like that brought that into focus. Like the officiating in the second half was absolute shit. But I'm glad that we were able to overcome it.
Derek, you can go.
No, I mean, there's not much else for me. I mean, again, the save or the block by um, by the big man was not his fault. He didn't know anything about it. He's just standing there, and ball gets played off of him effectively. But yeah, at this point, we
I
got the
mean, was
lead.
there anything else from the match that stuck out for you?
I mean, there were lots of opportunities that they had. That, of course, you get your your heart starts to beat really really fast. You know, the panic starts to set in because every time you see them come in and they're getting shots off. But and I think it's important that we give Ederson his due because he stood tall. He made the saves he needed to make to keep us in this match and not get us, into a case where we're going to extra time, because I think it was Danielle that just said it. My heart could not handle extra time. I just couldn't take it. So, again, once we got the goal, there were moments where we could have scored again, but then there were quite a few moments where we had to hold on. And I think Charlie's been saying it the entire season. That is what that center back four is about. It's about, you will not get past us. You won't break us down, right? So being able to have Stones drop into that center back position with the other three, we got just 3 or 4 just straight defenders across that back line, and um, it makes this difficult to break down, which wasn't always the case when we had Cancelo, who was much more effective going forward. But there were moments when we were going to be open to the other team to attack. So, all in all, yes, there was some moments where we had to hang on, but excited about
I'm
it.
gonna get real selfish because everybody else was so cute and sweet. I had 3 bets on this game. 2 were money line bets. Those hit. I had a -1.5 bet, which means you win by 2 goals. Phil Foden fucked up. Fitting firing Phil was not fucking firing, and that's fucking frustrating. In that one-on-one situation, you score that goal, it is over. Game, blouses, we done. And that little man didn't come through when I needed him. Now, that's the betting side of me. The fan in me is like, I get it, Phil. Tough chance. Wish you would have been more clinical. But I'm going to keep it raw with y'all. I told you, it's organic over here. I saw the money just leave. That would have been like $100 bet. Like, it was like the cash was, so that was like legit. So it was, I didn't put $100 into it, but the odds were like, hey, this is going to be great. So, but wish we'd have had it, just like I wish Haaland would have finished his chance earlier. But every player after talked about it, it was hard. It's nerve-wracking. And Pep said it. You need some luck to win. So we got lucky. that Lukaku happened to be misfortunate. But man, I'll never forget that field miss. Like, I saw the Rodri goal and that was great, but the field miss broke my heart. It hurt my wallet. So yeah.
We're going to start calling you Ivan Toney. Is the Premier League Podcaster Association of referees and
does
rule
it
makers going to be
influence
coming
my
for you?
my calls on the pod? Of course, because I'm going to bet what I feel and talk about how I feel it should go. Because hey, we all need a little extra cash out here, you know.
Hey, and I lean with my pettiness. Sharpie leans with his pocket. I mean, it is what it is, you know? You get different opinions because of that.
So also, I will go ahead and say that we do not have any sponsors, so I am talking to you, large sports books, and you know who you are because you know who you are. You spend a lot of money in advertising. Come holla at your boys. Come holla at your boys.
We are here, and we will gladly bet more on your app if you just pay us money to do so. Okay. Yeah, full whistle blows. And I'm positive the best, I guess, part of the treble for Pep is, getting a congratulations post on Instagram from his dream girl, Julia Roberts. I have a few bits from Rodri, Grealish, and Bernardo. Danielle, you actually called out my Bernardo part before I even played it, even technically I think the Rodri part also, so good on you. Each player mentions the Champions League as a dream and how it's deserved, looking back at how they've gotten there, and in Bernardo's case, who he wishes was at the match.
I'm emotional. I mean, this is a dream come true. All these guys deserve. All these guys around here waiting, I don't know how many years, 20, 30, 40. I've been here just 4 years, but we deserve. The last years we were so close. At the end I said, when you go to these moments, finals, semi-finals, at the end God gives you this present. It's unbelievable. It's a dream for all of us. I just want to thank you everyone. It wasn't easy. I mean, what a team we face. Unbelievable. The way they defend, the way they counter-attack. They deserve also credit because they are a great team. But I don't want to forget about my lads. I mean, we give everything. I don't know if they score, we go to extra time. I couldn't play. My calves were in the head. I mean, it was unbelievable effort for everyone. I wasn't good in the first half. I was playing shit, to be honest. And then this talks about the mentality. I just say to myself, you have to overcome this situation. At the end, I scored a goal. Unbelievable. Finals are like this. We didn't expect to play well like always. Emotions are there, nerves are there. But the lads, we compete until the end. I mean, some of these guys is 20, 21, 22. Some of them first finals. It's normal, but we compete like animals. The good thing is...
Yeah, no, good.
Have you got words
just emotional, man, after the game. Like, these are, just like the stuff that you dream of when you're a child. And I don't know, just when I see my family and stuff in the crowd, and everyone knows how close I am with my family and how much I love football. So these are just, when you just have a time to... I just had a little second and I was just thinking about it all, and I don't know, this is just what I dreamed of since. Like, I was crap out there today. I thought I was terrible, but we just had to win the game. It was a tough game, but I was just so happy, man. And to do it with this group of players, I swear, I've never felt like this with a group of players and a group of staff and a manager. I have so much to thank for. He bought me last year for, a lot of money. I was awful in my first. But I wasn't very good in my first season, and then, he's given me a platform to go and, I don't know, just give me confidence this season, and I've really felt it. I've played in all the big matches. I just so happy. Yeah, because do you know what, though? I was thinking about, even during the game, you're thinking, this is a Champions League final, we've got to win the Champions League final, and I wasn't thinking that we'd also won the treble. Like, it's great. No, do you know what I mean, though? Because the only thing that was in my head was Champions League final, and I was like, oh, we've won the treble as well. And after my first season, and even the start of my second, I felt like I was letting them down, a little bit, thinking, they've paid 100 million for me. What have I actually contributed? Yeah, we won the league in my first season, but I didn't contribute much. Do you know what I mean? And then I was like, I need to liven up here. And then after the World Cup, I don't know, I found a new rhythm, and he was playing me a lot. I felt fit and stuff. And then since then, I haven't really looked back, and here we are now. And one thing as well, this year, I feel like I know what he wants, do you know what I mean? In my first year, I was like, I've just done something good there, and he was shouting at me, and I was like, what? I've just done something good, but it's not what he wants, do you know what I mean? So now, I know what he wants, what type of passes, where he wants me out of possession, and I don't know, I feel like I get him now.
We've been working so hard to get this, and finally today we got what we deserved. We made history, and I'm so happy. I think it's the best day by far the best day of my career. I've always dreamt of winning this competition, so now I'm gonna touch that cup. I'd love if my grandfather was here to look at me winning this competition. He's not here anymore, and it meant so much to him that I played football. He was watching all my games, so I would like to share this one with him. It's so tough to do what we did. I'm devastated. I cannot even talk. I'm so tired after this season, mentally and physically. But it was worth it. It was worth it because this club deserves it. The fans, they deserve it. So well done to everyone.
Side note, one, poor Micah Richards, all he wanted was Pep to give him attention in that post-match interview. And all Pep basically did was look at Kate Abdo and Thierry Henry the entire time. Like, that was it. I felt so bad for Micah because he was trying. He was definitely trying. And also Bernardo's voice, it's so much more like deeper. Like, I just wouldn't assume that would be his voice. Almost like Zinchenko. Like, the first time I heard Zinchenko's voice is kind of just like real deep too. Like, they sound like voices of someone who could fuck you up, but you see
They don't
Bernardo
have
always
short.
get
They
his
don't have.
on.
They're short men. They're short men, but they don't have short men voices.
Yeah.
I think that's like you associate shorter men with not necessarily not necessarily a lower voice, but like there are plenty of gentlemen that are out there that do have a lower register, even though they may not be the tallest person in the world.
Yeah, it just throws me off every time.
I think something that stood out for me, especially from Jack and Bernardo, and maybe Roger, all of them, they were fucking gassed. Like, they were so tired. And now I think what's different is that, and I guess hindsight's 2020, but like those days of celebrations after the FA Cup, that's 2 days you're not recovering. But it's extra recovery time, right? It is a long season, but it's also been, you've had a whole week to prepare, more time than normally. Like, all these things kind of came in my mind. But then it's like, okay, Pep, maybe you were saving Alvarez and Mahrez for extra time, but they could have really, like, even if you just put Alvarez up top to press with Holland, that changes so much for Inter. And I'm glad that we don't have to have that conversation of did he not do it on time, blah, blah, blah. But it was like, man. And I think I saw something afterwards, because it's my guy. I'm going to bring him up. But Mars was just sad. Like, same in the FA Cup final, that he didn't get on the pitch. And to contribute in the way he had before that, to not have that moment and just to do something, right? At least Kyle Walker got to come on for 10, 15 minutes, whatever. Like, to not be able to get on, that hurts. So you get the medal, you get the pictures, the things, but if you notice in all the stuff they've put out, you have not seen Riyad Mahrez. Like, it's a reason for that. It hurts. And there was a rumor that came out that he might be leaving, where he got approached by the Saudis. And at this point, I couldn't fault him. He was like, you know what? Let me go get the bag. I did everything. I completed English football. I got my UCL. Let's go get this 50 mil. And I don't blame any player for doing it. So it sucked to not see the boys, because Julian Alvarez and Riyad Mahrez could have had a big impact on the match.
This will be my last little contribution, because I gotta run off and make dinner. But I think it's people have like reported on this a lot, but I think that it's just really refreshing to hear someone be as open as Jack Grealish always is in his interviews. I think we could all sort of agree with everything he said. It kind of makes sense, that he was his first year. He was still trying to figure it out. Like you could sort of see on his face in his first season that he was working hard. Like he wanted to contribute to the team. And I know that he was devastated to not even play in the last game of the Premier League season last year against Villa. So it just feels like, I don't know. He feels kind of like the main character in a way. If this was like fiction and it was like a TV show, the City season was a TV show. It kind of felt like he was the main character because he's just so expressive and open and emotive on and off the pitch. So I think he's not my absolute favorite player in the world, just in terms of like watching him, because I think that he still has a lot more to show. No hate at all, I love him, but I just I've said before that he's not, that his style of play, at least the way that Pep asks him to play, isn't the most. It just wasn't what I expected after we bought him a couple years ago. But he is I think that he's a very important player just on and off the pitch, and I think that the energy that he has injected into this team over the last couple of years has really helped with the transition from all of these big personalities leaving over the last couple of years, and I think that in a way he sort of provides his own kind of leadership, which is odd to say because he's just kind of seems like a bit of a wild card. Especially with like all the videos of him with the celebrations over the last couple of days. But I wouldn't be surprised if some players look to him and admired his his just resilience and the way that he brings his full self onto the pitch. And I think Pep definitely sees that quality in him, and that's why he's just been so undroppable over the last for this entire season. Really is the energy that he brings, and really that sense of like determination, and also like it's cliche but just passion, like he just really wants to win and he really wants to celebrate, and you're really seeing that come out over the last couple of days. So I'm happy for him, happy for the team. But yeah, that's me for this episode. To sign off by saying it's been so great seeing you guys and just talking about the team and the sport that I love. And it's bittersweet because this season's over, but thankfully this football it's not like football in that the off season is really short and it's going to come back before American football. Actually, I was just thinking about that today. So looking forward to getting back into it, and hopefully in the fall the Chargers don't ruin my life again, and I can actually feel a little bit more like all the teams I root for are doing well. So good to see you guys, and see you around.
Well, Danielle, one last soundbite before you go. Excuse the expletive.
I love you, bitch.
Oh my God.
I ain't gonna never stop loving you, bitch.
Love you.
All right, peace.
Okay, so City beating Inter secured the 22-23 Manchester City squad, their position in football immortality. People can try to take away from the win all they want. All I will say is Premier League, FA Cup, CL champions, baby, treble makers. Any player who was, a fringe City legend, air quotes, surely is a legend now. Any player who we might lose along the way will always have a special place in what happened this season. If Laporte, Bernardo, Gundo, Mahrez leaves, all I can say is thank you for your time in Manchester and all you have done to help City Football Club achieve what they have. City won the treble. The need to protect takes in fear of cursing the squad or diminishing the shine of current success. It's all gone. To you, what does the treble mean for City as a club, as a football institution, for perceptions, any and all direction you want to go? What does winning the treble do for Manchester City Football Club? Start with you, Tom.
So I live in the Denver, Colorado area, and the Nuggets just won the NBA Finals, and it was the first time that they had won the NBA Finals in their entire organizational existence. And I can't necessarily put my finger on it, but I guess there's maybe some emotional parallels to that. In like you're seeing all of the talking heads here in the United States say like, are Denver a dynasty? Like, is this the start of something? And I keep getting the feeling that with um, City winning the Champions League and Denver winning the NBA Finals, that both clubs have the opportunity to like win those competitions consistently over the next 5 years. Like, I know Tarek, you were saying how difficult it is to win the Champions League, and like how much time usually elapses, if you're not a non Real Madrid Barcelona team. So I think for me, just kind of seeing those two teams having both won a competition for the first time in their existence, I just see those parallels, and I think that uh, both of both the Denver Nuggets and the Manchester City you will see them win the competitions consistently that they just won over the next 5-10 years.
So you said, what does this mean for City as a club? My answer to that is, in the Premier League, it means nothing, right? It means nothing. And I say that because it does not matter what we do, we will always be perceived a certain way by fans of other clubs. So that's not going to change. Because we won the Champions League, that's not going to mean that all of a sudden they're going to stop saying or talking crazy or whatever. We're still hearing the 115 charges. We're still hearing about City did this, City did that. None of that's going to change. Now, outside of England, maybe it gets us a little bit more respect from other leagues and other clubs or whatever. But the fact of the matter is, I don't care. I don't think City fans should care, because we don't. I mean, at the end of the day, even if we had lost this, it wasn't going to change how I felt about the club, right? The fact that we won it, it just says that in theory, if these other clubs were being intellectually honest, fans of those other clubs were being intellectually honest when they said all this time, well, you haven't won the Premier, you haven't won the Champions League, or it was always some other thing. In theory, that should all go away. It won't. So I don't care about it. But yes, I am glad to see that we have reached that final pinnacle, and attain that final that final trophy. The interesting thing is, we have these three, right? If we go win the UEFA Cup Winners' Cup or Super Cup, whatever we're calling it, if we win that, if we win the Club World Cup, come back around, win Carabao Cup, we would have effectively every trophy that we could have. We would be the holders at that point, which I think is like crazy. Like, any trophy we could win, we would have won if we did all that, right? So my hope is that we don't stop here. We win at least the Club World Cup, the Cup Winners' Cup, which I think we have to play. Was it Sevilla? So we know that that's a tough matchup, but we know we've already beat them. So in theory, let's just go handle that, add to the trophy case again. So it is big for the club. I think the biggest thing is it just, like I said earlier, it just gets that monkey off our back, really, and allows us to be free in European competitions. So that is what I think it means for the club. I think there's some longer term conversations that we'll have to have, like, you know, the transfer window. Like, what does this mean for Pep? Again, he's got 2 years left. Does he try to renew for another year to make it 10? Does he go out at 9? What are we doing as a club to prepare for when Pep leaves? Whether it's 2 years, 3 years, we should have a defined plan. I'm confident that our team will, and so I'm excited for the future, because I think we have the ability to potentially win that fourth Premier League that no one has done. Maybe even running back in the UCL. So I'm excited for the future.
We have just watched the greatest season by an English team in the Premier League era. You can't go against it. There's only been 2 trebles, and our numbers are way better than Man U's. We did not have to come back. We did not scrape by. We didn't win the league by 1 point. We actually didn't need the last 3 matches of the league. You could have canceled it after match 35. So I will always know that, especially that it's cool when you buy shirts, right? Because like, okay, this shirt, this year, this moment, it will, like that Bumblebee shirt, the the away shirt, the red and black stripes, the one with the burgundy collar that we just wanted in, like I'm gonna always remember that year, like for the rest of my life. And that's a really special thing that you can't get in certain other sports because the designs don't change. Like if you're a Packers fan, you're a Packers fan. That jersey looks the same. You're a Cowboys fan, okay. But this is special because, every year is so different. Something else I want to say is we are geared up we already are in a dynasty, but there's nothing that can stop us. Like every player that is leaving will be replaced with a younger person who has the ability to grow under Pep, as we see every player grows under Pep. Now, they may not get along with Pep, but you can grow at Man City. If you sign on, you will get better. It may take you a year, but you will improve. Your country will benefit because you're a better player, and the club will continue to win trophies. Next year, I fully expect at least 2 trophies, and I don't think that's being selfish. I think that's being realistic. We didn't really care about last year. We can get it. Even if we don't win Premier League, we can win FA Cup. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so the trophy cabinet will continue to grow, and I'm honored and privileged to be a Man City fan. And my last 3 words are, fuck those charges.
Bitch, nigga, bitch, nigga, bitch, nigga, bitch. Don't want drama. Don't want
drama. That's just general energy to, I don't know, the Premier League board, UEFA directors, any rivals, Luton Town. You didn't think I was going to go a whole episode without mentioning y'all. Oh, man.
That's an excellent callback. Beautiful. Man, that's good. I would have never done it.
Oh. Well, I mean, we're just over the 2-hour mark, so that is the official Sharpie Charlie cutoff. I mean, there's nothing else left. I mean, we've done it. I mean, we've done it. Season 2, we're here. This is exciting. Yeah, I'm thankful mostly to you guys. Like, I know I talked about Shady Gang and building this thing, but y'all are my brothers. Why are you guys laughing right now? What's going on?
It wouldn't be right.
What am I
It
missing?
didn't freeze for a second. It was just like, oh yeah.
Oh, I froze? Oh.
On our end.
Okay. I'll play. I guess you'll have to hear it in the recording.
I'll wait 2 hours to hear what you had to say. There we go.
I was gonna repeat myself, but now I'm gonna make you wait. Oh my gosh. Send those emails to shadesofbluepodcast@gmail.com, where they will be used in a future mailbag episode. Make sure to follow us all on social media accounts: Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, or all Shades of Blue US. Check out our official SOB podcast merch store. Your chance to help the pod. Rep Shady Gang. Tap the link in the show notes, leads you right there. Rate the podcast on the app that you use right now. 5 stars are what's the point. Please give us a review while you're at it, my fantastic co-hosts. Please let the listeners know where to find you. Let's start with Tarek. Let's start with you.
I'm going on summer vacation. Don't nobody find me nowhere. I'm on summer vacation. I'm just kidding. Same place, same time, same station. At Tarek Peterson on Twitter. TARIKPETERSON at Tarek Peterson on Twitter.
I want to say to everyone, continue celebrate Pride this month. Also, happy Juneteenth. Because I'm not sure when the next time that we're gonna record. Also, if you are outside of the United States, or if you are inside of the United States and do not know what the significance of Juneteenth is, please hit the Google on that. You can find me on Instagram at TomBomb816, on Twitter at TomBomb816, and on Blue Sky at TomBomb816.
Ooh, Tom got that blue sky now.
Hold up! Did you say you got the blue
was
sky?
waiting for it.
No, I saw him. I saw him share it.
I
did the eyes. I did the eyes, and he didn't even do anything about it. I was like, okay, Tom Bomb, okay, bougie.
What?
Yo, I'm hating. I'm salty.
Tom got a trouble.
I will make sure that. But I mean, what can I say? All we do is win over here. Like, oh my God! Now that I think about it, like literally all of my baseball team is terrible, but like all of my other sports teams have actually like won
God, and
something
the
like
fucking
relatively
Chiefs.
large.
I hate you, Tom.
God
I hate you.
God did.
He did.
Amen.
Amen. Light skinned men winning out here. That's what we do, baby. And the lights should take over the world.
I got nothing after that.
All right, so I'm just gonna say it. Follow me at Sharpie Charlie on Twitter or Instagram. I just got some new running shoes, so follow my running journey as I try to get some of these pounds off from the past 6 months. So we're gonna get it right.
And if you follow him and pay him enough, he'll spell your name in the way that he runs. So stay tuned to that.
I'm not too proud to beg. I'll do it. I'll fucking do it.
Oh man, this is gonna be so fun. Y'all are gonna miss this, ain't y'all, Shady Gang? I am Crumb Chocolate, CRUNKCHOCOLATE, and you know the vibes. Shady Gang, Shady Gang, Shady Gang. We love you.